Welcome folks, Peter here with another episode of Village Run. In the last video we did that canary yellow Virago XV535 and we spliced in carburetors from that BMW. Today we have a similar project on our hand. Last week I bought the 1991 Kawasaki KLE 500 for 350 bucks. It came with a bunch of parts. As you can see here, we have a couple of plastics, we have a case, and that case even came with a key. Originally it was red, but it faded into this pink color. And then finally there is the bike. On the other hand, doesn't have keys. So we have to figure out a way to there was some butchery already, but we have to figure out a way how we can turn the ignition on, and we have to figure out what's wrong with it, and why they started parting out, because as you can see they clipped all the cables and the carburetors are missing. I don't know anything about it. The hoses are missing the clamps, so there's probably no coolant, although I can see some leakage, and it's wet. Yeah, you can see it's leaking a bit here. The engine does spin over. I tried it there on the spot before I bought it, and that's everything I know about this. So we will start with the electrical system, and then we will work our way through the carburetors. We will probably need to make a reduction as we did on that XV535 video. So the spark plugs are in the motor, although as I can see there is a lot of plaster laying on the engine, as well in the gaps where the spark plugs go. No battery, of course, and so let's start with unplugging the ignition switch. And if the ignition switch has the same plug as the other ignition switches from the Kawasaki's that I have, we will try to plug in the ignition switch from a different Kawasaki, then put a battery in, and we will go from there. So let's start on it. So this time I'm trying a new lighting method. I have this big floodlight pointing straight at us, so hopefully the lighting will be a bit better this time. So we need to trace the wire going from the ignition switch down. I think that this one is it, hopefully. So it has this one wire added to it. We'll see. I'm gonna get the ignition switch from that other Kawasaki, and we'll see. So I've connected the ignition switch, the battery, and let's see if we turn the key, if anything happens. And it does. I don't know if you can see that, but the lighting on the dash lit up. I don't see the neutral light though. Let's see if anything working. The headlight is working. Pass is working. High beam, low beam. Watch out for the horn. The horn doesn't work. The turn signals doesn't work. And the starter will not work as well because we don't see a neutral switch, and I can see that the neutral switch is disconnected here. Let me get a light. As you can see, there's nothing on that prong for the neutral switch, and I can see a bunch of wires here that are disconnected. I think this one is maybe for the so we need to take a look why are these three wires disconnected, and if one of them is the neutral switch. Okay, so on top of the obvious carburetor issue, we will have the wiring issue too. These two wires are what's left of the pickup coil or the Hall sensor on the crankshaft, and they were chewed on by a dog probably. So we need to splice those in. Then we have these three wires that I don't know which one of these is for. One of them should be the oil pressure sending unit. The other one should be the neutral light switch. But if I ground them to the metal, nothing happens. So I have to figure out why these wires are disconnected and where they belong, and then we can move forward. The one thing that's really awesome being parts dealer, that you have parts bikes and also wiring harnesses for parts. So I have this new connector. The wires are not the same, but I can care less. So let's replace the connectors, and then we will try to solve this headache with those sensors. Mint. Now we need just some electrical tape, and this is back to the OEM spec. So I've made some progress. I made this grounding post just to test which one of these wires is which, and now we have a neutral light, which is this light green wire. We can have our warning lights, which is this blue and red, and these two are supposed to go on the side stand switch. So I will route them properly, at least semi-properly, to the switches, and that means I have to pull the the mud guard or the guard for the engine. Alright, I got the wiring kinda messy, but done. So now it should run from the key here, or I mean the switch. And it does. And it seems it has a decent compression. So next thing to do is that I will pump up the compressor. I will blow off all the debris that's inside these cavities here and inside the intakes, and also on this top of the engine. We will crank it and we will see if our oil lights go out. Now I'm thinking about it, this thing was uncovered all the time. I don't know how the engine oil in this thing looks, if there is any. So we will try to turn it over and see if our oil light will go out. Okay, we are humming away, and let's see if the oil light will go out, and it does. So let's bring some spark plug and let's check if we have spark. Do we have any spark plug here? No, but we should have one right here. Let's plug that in. Ground it somewhere. And you can see, turn it this way. And hopefully but unfortunately we do not have spark, so let me mess with the side stand switch for a bit, and then what we will do. I think look at this switch here. No, but that switch is working, so maybe a better ground point. Let's see if we have any better ground points than this. Maybe here. Nope, still nothing. Let's try the other coil. Where is the wire? Here it is. Plug this in and let's see. Nope, we do not have spark, so let me check some more. So unfortunately we do not have spark. I don't know if that's because of our ignition switch, if the positions of the wires are the same, and if we are getting the signal the right signal to the ECU. I checked for the grounds and pluses on the ignition box itself, and we do have power to the ignition box, but we are not getting any signal to the coils. Let me show you one other thing that I found. Within the parts to the bike, there is another set of ignition coils and ignition sensor, and the magneto, the flywheel, is there also. So I think they were chasing the same problem as we are, and they gave up on it, and they never solved that issue and sold it for parts. Unfortunately, I do not have at the moment another one of those ignition boxes. I will go home and I'm going to take a look at the manual, see if there is any test that I can do, because we have all the safeties disengaged. The clutch switch is working, the wiring for the neutral switch is working, everything seems to be working, just we do not have spark. So I will go home. I also found a little bit of wire butchery here, so I will dig into that a little bit more, if all the wires are properly set up as they should be, and I will see what I can come up with. The resistance of the pickup coil is good, so I will check for continuity of the pickup coil to the ignition unit, to itself, and we will see if I can get this thing to fire some spark. As I said, if I have these ignition boxes, I would put one in and I'll see, but that's it for today. I will work on it tomorrow. Okay, so it's another day, and if you will pardon me, I've done a little bit of work behind the camera. And guess what? Let me see if we can turn the key to on position here. Come on. Okay, key is on. The lights are up, and let's see here. No, we do not have enough juice right now, and I do not have the electricity here. So but we have spark, and I will show you that after we will do our plumbing. I will try to finish these carburetors in. We'll do a custom plumbing again as we did on that XV535, and I will show you the bike running then. But what I did is, do you remember that in the box we had the flywheel, a stator, and the stator cover? So here is the flywheel that was in this bike, and this flywheel, they are known for this epoxy to come loose, and these magnets will come loose also, and they will fly off. And the flywheel that was in the box was in worse shape than this one. These flywheels are not the same for every model of this 500 engine. These engines were in the naked bikes, in the ER5s, they were in the EN 500s, that's chopper bike or cruiser, something like that, and they were all over the place through the Kawasaki models. And they changed this flywheel and the whole ignition system through the years. As you can see, this flywheel doesn't have any protrusions other than this one, and this thing is elevated, as you can see here, this elevated part. And on that other flywheel, this elevated part is much longer, and it has a couple elevated protrusions, but much smaller than this all around. And the CDI unit was confused from that, and it couldn't read the RPMs of the engine, and it wasn't giving the signal to spark. So now I replaced the flywheels. I put back the original flywheel, and this bike has spark again. So that means we will have to do our custom plumbing again, and we will try to start it. So let's go back to town, let's buy some more of that plumbing, and we'll see if we can make this thing run. So I've been working on it for 2 days now. Of course not full days, but yesterday we managed to get the spark back again. It was that faulty flywheel, and then I built this contraption out of the piping, and these grommets are the grommets from this engine, but I used another of 2 of those to accommodate the carburetors, and these carburetors are those ones from the GS500 that we did video a while back ago, that knock-in one, and I cleaned them. There was a lot of black stuff in the float balls, and now it's test time. We will fill our funnel here with gasoline, and we will try to start this thing. These carburetors have one big advantage. They have this sliding choke or inertia, and that's a little advantage over those BMW ones that we put on the XV535 Virago. So let me get the Hummingbird on, the fuel in, and we will try if this bike will start on the carburetors with this piping on. I can't put on the choke while holding this funnel, so we will have to try without choke. So let's see here. We'll see. And of course nothing. Let me see if I can wedge something to engage the choke. Nope, I can't. Not a chance. So let me drain the fuel back into the gas can here. So, as you saw, the bike doesn't want to start. The carburetors are really loose in that grommet. What I want to do is wrap these things in a tape. I wanted to use the electrical tape, but I don't have any laying around. Or I have, but I can't find it. I had 2 packs of tapes when we did the wiring, and now I can't find them, so I will have to use the masking tape wrapped around, and I will see if I can get a better engagement with those grommets. Alright, take 2. Cross your fingers. CARBS if we don't make changes here, but let's try it anyway. As you can see, it runs. We do not have a lot of coolant in it, maybe none, because this one hose is popped off. I can see that some coolant is in it because it has a pressure on it and it's leaking a bit. So let me get the hose clamp on it to put on here, and let me check the coolant in the reservoir here. Yeah, this one is tricky also to refill, as you can see, and we can't see. So let's put that hose on and let's test it if we have a good engine or not. I tried to think of a solution how to hold these carburetors retained and in place. This bike backfires from time to time. That's because these carburetors are not meant for this bike. We do not have perfect seals everywhere, and I wedged this hammer between the carburetors and the frame. Call that redneck engineering right there. So I will try to test this bike a little bit more. I refilled it with coolant. We now have coolant, as you can see, overflowing, so that should be full enough. So let me run this bike for a bit more and we will see what conclusion we will get. Alright, and this is going to be it for this video. We make it run, we make it to fire a spark, and the bike runs. The engine's not knocking, smoking. We don't have a milkshake in the oil or in the cooling system, so I can tell that the engine is good and we can sell it as a good engine. The engine might sound a little bit awkward to you, and that's because this one thing. Let me show you. These breathers are open, and when these are open, the bike sounds really awful. So that's a little bit awkward sound when they are not routed into the airbox. So this is the end of this KLE 500. I've got customers that want some of these parts, and it's Thursday now. I had to get them by Friday. So if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up, share, comment, and please subscribe. Let me know that you like these videos and you want to see more. Until the another one video, I'm out of here. Bye.